Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amy. I am part of the Midwest team at Redox Bio-Nutrients. We are so excited to be introducing ourselves, introducing our founder, and the concept of plant charge balance to Commodity Classic in 2025. I'm here to do an introduction for Darin. So what I'll say is I think people, throw around the phrase of paradigm shift, kind of like willy-nilly. But what I'll say is working with Darin and the rest of the Redox team for the past couple months that Darin is a true visionary, and the concept of plant charge balance, even though it sounds novel, it is based on sound science. So without further ado, our founder, Mr. Darin Moon.
Okay. I have two goals today. One is the first part of my presentation is to give you an idea of how we think as a company, what our technology is based on and how we think about product inputs, etc. Then I'm going to introduce a new product formulation that we're very excited about. We're introducing commercially for the first time this year. So give me the clicker, Amy. Since I don't have a lot of time, I'm going to jump right into it. Plant charge balance, okay? I want you to think about something. This is the basic chemical reaction that makes us all money. This is photosynthesis, okay? I want you to think about the very first thing that happens when sunlight hits the leaf. The very, very first thing that happens. Most people would say, well, we split the water molecule, or we produce carbohydrates, or we produce amino acids. The actual fact is when sunlight hits the leaf and it goes down to the cell, it actually excites electrons that go down an electron change, and that electron excitation is a charge. The very first thing that photosynthesis does is it creates a charge in plants. Okay, so let's put that on hold for a minute. These are our basic fertilizer elements. These are the mineral elements that make plants grow. And if you look at this slide, I want you to think about the commonality of these elements. Every one of them carry a charge. So if we go back and we talk about photosynthesis, and the important reaction of photosynthesis is charge creation, and we go to our fertilizer or our mineral elements that a plant takes up, and we understand that every one of them carry a charge, positive or negative, we must then have the discussion, what does this mean in terms of plant growth? When we fertilize in agriculture, we fertilize in what? In pounds per acre. That's how we think. We think about 300 pounds of nitrogen, 200 pounds of phosphorus, 50 pounds of whatever. We think about pounds. But within that fertilizer buggy, within that liquid fertilizer that you're applying, is charge. Okay? Well, let's talk about that for a minute. What does that mean in terms of plant physiology? The important part of this slide is this right here. As a plant takes up charge, it must balance that charge 50-50. A plant must always have 50% positive charge and 50% negative charge. That is where we come up with the term plant charge balance. Homeostasis, as many scientists would say. That is a system in balance, okay? If through soil chemistry, water chemistry, fertilizer applications, if that charge balance is upset, I have 49% positive and 51% negative, the plant ceases doing other functions to balance that charge. That becomes the priority. The point of this, as you are thinking, or as this sets in, is fertilizer applications have a significant bearing on plant charge balance. So as we think about fertilizer applications, one of the things I'm asking you to think about is, don't just think about it in terms of pounds per acre. Think about it in terms of charge per acre and how you are helping that plant balance itself out so that it can then naturally do the metabolic processes to produce what you get paid for. You get paid for production of apples or corn or soybeans, etc. Okay? Well, this is all really important, But one of the things that we stipulate or that we focus on here at Redox Bio-Nutrients is, if I'm going to talk about it, I have to be able to measure it. Measuring plant charge balance is a scientific equation. It's done scientifically, and it's called EH. That is in millivolts, and you can actually measure this in plants. Currently, it's a rather expensive process, and it's a rather tedious process to do. Redox Bio-Nutrients has partnered with a company out of France to make a handheld device where you can clip it onto a leaf, and it will measure plant charge balance, step number one. So now I know my plant charge balance in the soil, or excuse me, I know my charge in the soil, my redox potential charge in the soil, I know my redox potential charge in a plant. Now I create a product blend that helps the plant balance that out, helps the plant get to the proper charge, okay? I'm not just talking now about pounds per acre of anything. I'm talking about balancing that plant through the way I put my fertilizer blend together based on a measurable number, an actual measurable number. This instrument is new. We are ground truthing it this year and hope to have it ready by this fall, okay? Okay, a couple of ways we put fertilizers together. Just want to go down this really quickly. To be efficient with fertilizer and stop putting out pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds, but have to actually get that poundage into the plant, we consider 5 things when we do a fertilizer blend. It's one thing to discover a molecule. I have this wonderful molecule that makes plants grow really well. If I can't get it to do the following 5 things, it becomes rather inefficient or ineffective, okay? Number one, it has to move. When I put a molecule on the soil, if it stays in place, I have to put more on to be able to get it to be able to get it to the plant. If it moves with the soil water or with the irrigation water, I can put less on and be much more efficient. That's step one. Step two, just because I put it on the soil doesn't mean it's going to get into the plant. I have an entire soil chemistry that has to deal with reactions and inactivation or tie-up. You all know those words, tie-up of fertilizer molecules. So I have to put something in my fertilizer blend that prevents that tie-up so that when it gets to the root, it can actually be absorbed into the root. Step number 3, I now get inside of the root and I have an entire different chemistry. I'm no longer dealing with soil chemistry, I'm dealing with plant chemistry. And once inside the root, my molecule has to move from that root to point of need. Whether it's a leaf tissue, whether it's flowers, wherever it needs to go, now I have an entire different chemistry that has to move that nutrient. Number 4, I now have to get it from that movement inside of a cell. Wow. Now we have different chemistry again, okay? And then it has to be utilized. Those are 5 things that we do things such as radioactive isotope tagging, so we can actually follow our nutrients into plants and make sure they're doing what they do. We do a lot of different things that as we formulate products, as we utilize molecules to enhance nutrient efficiency in plant metabolism, these are the 5 things that we take into consideration. We are an ISO 9001 certified company. What does that mean? That means that when you are using natural molecules, the majority of our products are natural plant extracts, okay? You have variation. I have variation in the raw material source, so you have to go to great pains to ensure viability and consistency in the plant extracts that you're using. Being ISO 9001 certified is really big to us. That means that we allow a third-party company to come in and go and watch our processes, watch our manufacturing processes, look at our manufacturing sheets, and ensure that the consistency and quality that we talk about is actually measured by an independent third party. You don't find a lot of companies that are willing to go through that process. Okay, we talked about this. One of the molecules, or a group of molecules that we are highly interested in, our name says it, are what are called redox active substrates. What is a redox active substrate? That's actually a chemical term. You can look it up on the internet if you want to. That is a term of an organic molecule that can either accept a charge, it can absorb a charge to balance an equation, or it can give off a charge to balance an equation. We utilize redox active biomolecules in our product formulations to help with plant charge balance. Therefore, as I fertilize and I create these charges, and my plant starts to accumulate excess nitrate nitrogen, that's one we're really focused on right now. If I have redox bioactive substrates, that charge imbalance that may be created by my fertilizer application can be absorbed by these molecules. These molecules are also stimulatory, okay? I missed a slide in here. These molecules are also stimulatory. What does that mean? There's a pathway in plants called the phenylpropanoid pathway, secondary metabolic pathway. It is the thing that produces all the compounds that we don't see, the terpenes, the flavonoids, all of those compounds that stimulate in very, very small parts per million, even to parts per billion. These compounds are produced in the secondary metabolic pathway. This pathway is what enhances nutrient efficiency. This pathway is what enhances nutrient metabolism, okay? Okay, RDX-N. This is a new compound based on what I just discussed, okay? We've been researching this compound for 11 years. In commercial research, out in fields, we've been doing it for 4 years because the claim I'm about to make is really, really extreme. And we wanted to be very, very sure of what we were doing in different environments with different crops, etc. RDX-N is a nitrogen additive. What do I mean by that? It optimizes synthetic nitrogen fertilizer applications to 50%. Let me repeat that. It optimizes nitrogen fertilizer applications to 50%. Okay? The problem with nitrogen applications that we've arrived at in agriculture is what we consider to be a nitrate toxicity. Not a nitrogen toxicity, a nitrate toxicity. Nitrate nitrogen cannot be utilized by the plant. It must be converted to ammonia. And that process can be slowed down or even stopped by improper charge balance in a plant. So therefore, my nitrate nitrogen, negatively charged, accumulates in leaf tissue, and my plant metabolism slows down. So I get two things out of reducing or optimizing nitrogen. I get a reduction in nitrate toxicity, and I get an improvement in plant metabolism. That is what this material is all about, okay? It focuses, well, here's the slide I wanted. It focuses on this secondary metabolic pathway. These compounds right here are what we focus on producing that improves plant metabolism, that improves the ability of a plant to deal with plant charge balance and continue to metabolize and continue to grow, all based on nitrate, nitrogen, and nitrate toxicity. The plant isn't growing with less nitrogen. That's not the point of this presentation. The plant is metabolizing the nitrogen you are applying better. That's the point, okay? We have a mountain of research. I'm not going to spend the time here to go through it. I'm going to give a couple of examples. You're welcome to stop by our booth, and we'll give you all the binders full of information on independent third-party research that you would like to have. Here's just a couple of examples, okay? We go to 120 pounds of nitrogen as a grower standard. This is all replicated research versus 40 and 60 pounds. And here's the result. This is a 50% nitrogen reduction. We have literally hundreds of studies just like this showing an equivalency in yield. A 50% nitrogen reduction showing an equivalency in yield. Well, we got lucky year one, right? Here's year two, same plot. Same fertilizer application rates. Here's the result. This is not taken, I do not make this statement without understanding the weight with which this statement is made, okay? We are so excited about this molecule because the results now for years and years are real and they can be replicated. We've done this on 13 different plant species across geographic locations in the United States and internationally. How does it work? We're working on that, okay? We discovered the molecule. We're not sure what plant pathway we're stimulating. What we do know is it is plant active. This is not a soil active molecule. We are not stimulating soil biology to produce more nitrogen. We are metabolizing the nitrogen that is present. How do we know that? At the University of Idaho, we did a research study where we took sand, we took a sand-based medium, we grew, not corn plants, we grew tomato plants because they're easy to grow in a greenhouse, okay? We triple washed the sand and autoclaved it. We triple washed the sand and we autoclaved it, so I have no biology in the soil and I have minimal nutrient load. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but what we learned was we got an increase in nitrogen even with that, okay? So, we are very excited once again about this molecule. We're very excited about our technology from the following standpoint. Nobody's talking about plant charge balance. Everybody's trying to make pounds per acre more efficient. Okay, let's go there, but you cannot make pounds per acre more efficient if you do not deal with plant charge balance. You cannot deal with plant charge balance if you do not deal with redox active substrates. You cannot. You have to be able to put that together in a sequence where I get charge, charge balance, charge cycling, and charge gradient. I have to be able to do those four things to be able to get plant metabolism at its optimum. Amy, I'm done.
Let's skip ahead one slide. We did want to save some time for questions and answers. I know we did a lot of dense content in a short amount of time. We are available at the booth. But before we open it up for questions, first off, this is being recorded, so if you don't want to be on recording, don't raise your hand. But we also, because we focus on agronomy first, one of the tools that we offer our customers is a Cypher soil report. So we are offering a complimentary limited number of Cypher soil reports at Commodity Classic this week. So if you guys want to break out your phone and scan it, or see one of myself or the Midwest team, we can help get that set up for you. And then we have additional data at the booth as well, and we can go into your specific operation and how RDX-N can help. We're at booth number 743, right by the NASA booth. So if you look for that and come see us, we can go down, we can have a conversation about how we can apply RDX-N on your operation. So we will open it up for questions.
Chad, go ahead.
Okay. Test. Hey, I don't want to be up here on stage, but I do want to, I want to talk maybe just for a second if I could before we get to questions. My name's Chad Siebold. I work with Total Acre. Darin and Amy, thanks for coming up here doing this. This is pretty cool to see this come to fruition. You guys have been around for 30 plus years.
30 plus years.
We didn't get to a lot of the detail around that. That ISO 9000 is unique in the industry. We love it from a producer standpoint, testing it in the marketplace. But when you look at the opportunity to bring products to the Midwest, although it's been around for the last 30 years, you talk about plant charge balance, there's nobody that's talking about doing this, putting it in play for corn, soybeans, and then actually backing up what you just talked about. To stand up here on stage and say, we can do more with less, and we stand behind that, I'm telling you right now, there's not a lot of people that can do that. And when you look at some of the different tools that you're bringing to the marketplace, Darin lives behind this whiteboard over here. I know you're not getting a chance to see it and do it justice, but do go stop by and see their booth. Darin and I are going to do an interview here shortly at the Total Acre booth, so I would invite you to the Total Acre booth here too if you get a chance. I think it's at 3 o'clock post-mortem after this meeting. So, any questions?
I would add one more thing, just from a business perspective. We're not venture capital owned. It's my money, it's my company. All the research, everything, we put into it ourselves personally. So we're not in a hurry to force this on you. We're not in a hurry to force you to buy this. We're in a hurry to help you understand nitrate, nitrogen toxicity. We're trying to get that out so that as we do this, you can A, understand that 50% nitrogen optimization is possible, and then B, we can rebuild programs to optimize it even further. Wow. Wow, imagine having to completely rethink what we think nitrogen is all about. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. Okay.
You want to go back to Cypher?
Any questions? Do I have time for questions, Jim?
Yes.
Chad?
Yeah.
Any questions? That was chemistry, so I assume you're all bored. Okay, so sorry about that. I can't get away from it. Yeah.
So, hang on. It's for the recording too.
Oh,
so.
all right. So in terms of, I was thinking in terms of the charge versus Mulder's circle, how much would you say, I don't know if you could put a percentage on it, but do you believe that is a portion of why Mulder's circle works the way it does, and that the charge balance is off, and that you're not it's not just balancing nutrients, but that circle is also balancing the charge within it? Is that how you're thinking?
100%, 100%. So I have charge from my nutrients, but I also have charge from my molecules within the plant. And the way a plant takes up nutrients is, overall, the plant has to be balanced. But for example, root surfaces are negatively charged, okay? So they create charge gradients in different areas of the plant based on how we're moving nutrients, what nutrients are moving. So you're 100% correct. Yeah.
So with that, if you're trying to balance out the nutrient side of that, and let's say you've got a high nutrient count on one, do you believe that by balancing your electron charge that you could mitigate that negative effect on the other side of it?
Yeah, so that's where we're headed. I think that's really difficult because we're just learning, okay? We're just learning, and fertilizer nutrients in soils are highly inefficient when you think about it, okay? I got to put on a whole bunch of excess to get a very little bit out of it, actually, and in doing that, I create this charge, okay? So that's where we're headed, is learning what that fertilizer solution nutrient balance should look like, and then what organic or carbon molecules I should add to that to help in enhanced uptake and in charge balance. We know what this material does with nitrogen. We're learning about phosphorus and potassium. We're in all that research of what redox active substrate helps with phosphorus uptake and utilization, et cetera, et cetera. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, okay, great question.
If my soil is saturated 9 or 10 months of the year, resulting in reductive reactions 9 or 10 months of the year, and not oxidative,
yeah.
Does this have any affect positively, negatively, or is it mutually exclusive?
So no. So that's really a great point. Okay, most of the research we've done is on oxidized soils, obviously. Okay, but the idea would be is, now that you understand that you're on a reduced soil, the fertilizers that you utilize should be oxidative by nature, okay? And the compounds that you add to that, the organic compounds you add to that, should aid in oxidizing, versus most of agriculture wants to deal in reducing, okay? That's where yes, that's the learning curve that we're on, are those very things, and that's exactly where you should be, is, okay. And another thing, because there's a difference between soil oxidation or soil redox reactions and plant redox reactions, this product is dealing only with the plant. It's only with the plant. So as plant charge comes into play and I get out of balance, either A, I'm stimulating the pathway that'll help it get into balance, or B, I'm actually putting on the molecule a redox active substrate to help it balance itself out by just quantity, okay? It does not take a lot. We're talking parts per million of redox active substrates. Does not take a lot, okay? Great question.
Other questions?
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you.